Hey, welcome back to Digi and Pals.
It's just us two now.
Yeah, it's just me and Josh. Everybody else left. We went to Sonic. We ate foods.
Well,
alright foods.
The reason Brandon left
So,
is because he got challenged to Street Fighter V.
Yeah, hold on, real quick. What are we, like... We left in the middle of a cutscene, and I don't know what's going on anymore.
So, when we were falling back to that area, we blew up the building.
Okay.
And now we're the rookie again, trying to figure out what the fuck...
Were we not for a while?
Yes.
Who were we for a while?
We were Dutch?
I thought we were following Dutch.
Or maybe we were... No, we weren't the rookie.
This game's confusing and strange.
We gotta go around somehow.
Alright. So anyway, yeah, we ate Sonic. Brandon got a call, I guess, that he was being challenged to Street Fighter, and he immediately got up and left. He was like,
no hesitation.
He was like, I've been challenged, and we were like, we know what must be done, and so he left. He left us.
He left us.
He left us.
And then I used Conrad to hide my nuts.
Yes. We were talking about stuff we know lots about in the car. Like, what things do we have a really intense knowledge of? Like, in terms of media and shit, or just in terms of life in general. Josh has a very deep knowledge of sharks.
I do love me some sharks.
For a while you were studying sharks.
I would have been considered an expert. I wouldn't necessarily consider myself an expert anymore just because I've forgotten a lot of it. But I was very active in researching it. That was one of those topics where I would research it outside of class and things like that.
You've gotten quieter. You need to speak up.
Did I get quieter?
Yes.
I like sharks.
Slap yourself in the face really hard. There you go.
Woo!
Yeah!
Oh, Jesus.
So yeah, you were big into sharks, and you were studying them to be a shark person, I guess, whatever that is. And then you gave up on sharks, and you moved on to be a screenwriter.
Because basically, I sort of hated the monotony of science.
Yeah.
Which I think when you're looking at a job that you're going to do for the rest of your life, you have to at least, with some degree, be okay with the monotony of that job.
Yeah. We've probably talked about this a few times before on this show. I bring it up a lot, but I think it's something that bears repeating over and over again, which is that if you want to do an artistic job, or I mean any job really, but if you want to do anything that involves an end result and producing an end result, you have to enjoy getting to that result, not just having that result, you know. I think there's a lot of people who want to be writers or filmmakers or this and that, and they just want to have made a great movie, but they don't want to make a great movie.
Right.
And those are very different passions. Because the desire to have had made something, you might have a great idea and you want it to come into existence, but the process of bringing it into existence is an entirely different thing that is often far more stressful and not fun and tedious and shitty.
It's extremely stressful.
Yes.
Oh,
So,
what the fuck?
For you, even with science, this is something I would always apply to art because I understand art, but even as a scientist, this was the problem you faced, is that you wanted to know things about sharks, but the prospect of spending 10 years doing some incredibly bullshit, minute task in order to learn a tiny thing about
the job
sharks.
I was sort of lining up to do would have been me going onto a boat, sitting in the water, looking at a shark, measuring some data that the shark did, and then repeating that for 10 years until it reveals something.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't sound like the hardest job in the world.
But that's the other thing is
I don't more guaranteed money than
that's the other thing
I
sort of figured that out at a young age. I don't want a job because it's easy and makes a lot of money just easily, because I'll just end up killing myself from boredom.
Yeah.
I would want something that challenges me a bit.
Generally, suicidal tendencies have a lot to do with why I do artistic work. Because, when I remember, I think it was when I was 16 that I had, a really strong resolution of the idea that if I did anything other than what I wanted to do, then life wouldn't be worth living. Because I was like, why would I decide that I was going to keep living in a world where I wasn't doing something that made me happy, you know? And, you know, I think there's plenty of ways you can be happy. There's lots of people who can, like, meet that special someone, and then all they want to do is just have a family with them, you know, and whatever means to that ends, they'll take it up. Like my dad, for instance. My dad has no passion whatsoever for working in the car business. He does not give a fuck about the car business. He'd rather be studying all the time, you know. He'd rather be a professor or just like an academic or something. But, you know, he started a family. He's really passionate about keeping that family going, and he'll do anything to make that happen. And he can take pride in his work and make it through the day, knowing that he's doing something for the... Wow, I just got fucked. Yeah, sniped the shit out of... What is this? What are we hearing?
What?
What are we listening to?
I hear like it's like demonic laughter.
I think we were listening to like an audio log or something.
Oh, I did pick something up.
That's probably what it was. But yeah, for me, like the only way I can make it through the day is by knowing that I've created something. I have no passion for just making money or just like doing work to know that I'm living my life, you know, like sustaining myself. It's not interesting to me. But I do love the idea of making shit.
I found another random voice log, so now there's like I can hear the random noise in the background.
I think the way that we end up with a lot of people who do like normal jobs is that they meet a girl or they meet a guy, you know.
They hit a point where raising a family or surviving becomes more important than whatever it is they wanted to do.
Well, I mean, I think there's like a for someone
that's actually sort of what happened to my girlfriend, because my girlfriend's older than me. My girlfriend's 27. I'm 24. She kind of hit up like what she wanted to do. She wanted to be a DP for films, and she's actually pretty good at it. But it wasn't going anywhere just because of the way her family is, Asian background and everything. It's like if it doesn't make a lot of money right away, then what's the point of doing it?
Right.
No job security, things like that. So she sort of had to give it up.
Which is why you have not married her yet. Her family is not going to approve your lack of job security and money.
But if I ended up being successful with like writing and getting into the film business, she would probably in a heartbeat come right back to it.
Yeah.
Because it would be secure at that point.
Right. Yeah, I think I've watched it happen because all of our friends are growing older, and we have a lot of friends like you and Brandon and Victor are just now getting out of college. So you guys haven't really had.
Well, I'll probably never get out of college
right. Because you're a fucking idiot.
Yes.
But like, you know, you guys haven't really had the chance to step out and figure out exactly where things are going for you yet. I can't see Tolentino doing any kind of normal job, but I also can't see him ever needing to because he will always find a weird thing to do. Tolentino has the knack for finding weird jobs and finding weird avenues.
Be perfectly sufficient and have somebody that he can sort of rely on if he needs to.
He's always a step ahead of the game and ahead of everybody else. But like, you know, Victor doesn't know where things are going quite yet. He would obviously love to work in film, even if it's like a minor job, but like, he doesn't know if he's going to be a like real legit Hollywood director or if he's gonna end up being like a guy who films commercials forever. You know, like it really depends on where things go and what makes him happy in the long run. But I think I've seen a lot of people who like realize that they don't want to be starving artists. You know, like Boyd, for example, is a great example because like he wanted to be a filmmaker. Like me and him wanted to be filmmakers together, and then he when he was living with us, he wasn't really making any progress in anything he was trying to do. And so, you know, finally there came a point where he moved out and he was like dirt broke for a long time. And, you know, Boyd can't do the starving artist mindset of like, even the, like, I'm going
everything for my art.
Right. Like, because there's some people who they will just not eat. They will not take care of themselves. They would just do art all the time, you know. And there's other people who, if you're hungry, you're not making anything, you know. I'm kind of like that myself. I'm not much of a a starving artist type guy. Like I would get a part-time job if I had to, and I would work and do my art at the same time.
Right.
You know, because I'm very prolific and I'm very fast and I'm willing to get things done quickly. So I don't think I'll ever have to like resort to I can't do work and do this at the same time.
Quite that
type
desperation.
thing. Right. But like with Boyd, he just kind of realized like, well, shit, I like having money and a job. So like he still wants to in the long term become a creative person, but like because he realized how much it sucks to be poor and to be starving, he also just wants to have a regular job and be good at it and make money, you know. Because before, when he had lived with us and before that, he had always been sort of like a, you know, like kind of slacker at his jobs. Like he just did the minimum amount to get by kind of thing. But now he's much more of like he does everything right and gets promoted and shit like that. You know, like he's a fucking hard worker now just because he knows what it's like to be hungry now. So there's some value in that. But I think it's what happens to most people is that they realize like, it's either that they have to because they realize that they're going to starve if they don't, or they meet someone and that person becomes more important to them than their art, you know, or their work ethic. And it's like, oh, I just want to start a family with this lady, and therefore I got to do whatever's good for that. I don't see myself ever being that guy.
Or you meet someone like me where we've kind of had the conversation.
You guys don't have to take care of each other because you're both actually doing shit.
Yeah, but we've also hit the point where we've thought about it. We're not even sure that we would want kids in the future.
Yeah.
Like neither of us are really, especially because we had to babysit one day.
I see.
And it was hell. And we're like, do we really want that for the rest of our lives? Should we do that, or should we just sort of focus on trying to get really nice?
I mean,
careers.
It's the ideal time to have kids is in like when you're like 30.
Yeah.
When everything's set up, you know what you're doing, and then you just get really bored.
There's nothing left, and you're like, well, I guess we gotta do this now.
You need the ultimate challenge. But yeah, I mean,
is this the thing? Nope.
I've mentioned this before as well, but I've always idolized my friend Ghost Lightning, who got married at like I want to say 29, and he had his kid at 32. And I've always felt like that was the perfect cadence too, like, because he had told me like that he was, you know, like he didn't completely have like his mindset right until he was like 25. Like he was always sort of like an angry like guy who wasn't very honest with himself. And then he learned how to be honest with himself in his late 20s, and then, you know, got his shit sorted out, and then met someone, dated her for 3 years, you know, had a kid when they were good and ready, and I'm like, yeah, that all sounds great. That's a great life path idea.
Good job.
You know, just wait till you're fucking old enough to deal with shit, you know, you've got your shit figured out. Because if you live to be 30, you're past the whole, like, I don't know why I'm alive stage, I think, you know? I mean, I'm sure there's people who still feel that way at 30, but, like, I think there's a certain point where you just accept that you're going to be here from now on. You know what I mean?
Or it's just like, all right. Well, especially if you have a kid, because if you have a kid, then it's no longer about you. It's about the kid.
Right. I guess I should say 27. I think it's when you pass 27 and you realize that you're not going to die like a rock star.
What's this thing? Yeah.
Yeah, that you continue with your life. You're like, oh, well, I passed the threshold.
Where the fuck are we supposed to...
Could be my entire perception of this is affected by having read 20th Century Boys.
Oh, there it is.
If you've never read 20th Century Boys, it's a great... What the fuck?
It was hanging up. It was a sniper hanging up on, like, a light post.
Okay. 20th Century Boys is a great manga series about a guy who basically goes through this, where he's like I think he's 30 at the start, and he had like always thought he was gonna die at 27 like a rock star, you know, and join that club. But then now he's just like an old guy and realizes he's let his life pass him by. But you know, people fall into a complacent comfort.
What I like about sort of the path that I'm hoping works out for me with like screenwriting or even novel writing or something like that, if I ever get into that, is I can still hold other jobs at the same time. Like, I know some people who've done writing and they're just like, yeah, I gave up all my jobs so I could focus straight on this. And how do you eat?
Well, if you're successful, you eat, but you got to get there first.
Like, there's people that just drop it immediately. This is what I want to do, and they go to LA and they just.
I think
do
people, people like me, we have a tendency to idolize young creators, like people who got started when they were like 18 and were like, yeah, I'm going to be that guy. But there's a lot of creatives who don't start until later in life and still get successful, you know? There's plenty of people who, like, never manage to sell something until they're fucking 30 or 40 or 50 even.
Which, that might end up being me. Because by that point, hopefully I'd be good enough at writing.
Right.
If I'm not good enough at writing by 40, then I'm not a good writer.
Yeah. Well, if you're like working that whole time, then yes, you would definitely be it would be worrisome if you actually wrote for 20 years. And
I've written 40 books, and none of them were good.
Wow, how the fuck did I miss that?
I feel like I've gotten better after finishing the
Film Crit Hulk book.
Yeah, once I finished that, I was like,
101.
suddenly it just like a bunch of stuff that I was doing wrong like clicked in my head.
We were discussing this, that you were reading it on the Halo 2 Let's Play, and you finished it since then. How did that go?
It was pretty good, and I read my books digitally, like on a Kindle,
Right.
and it kind of tricked me because I was just reading it a little bit every night. And it was sort of just becoming this nightly ritual. I would read a little bit and go to bed. And I got to about 48%. And I was like, okay. Or at least what my Kindle said was 48%. I was like, okay, let me read to 50 and I'll go to bed.
Yeah.
And I got to 50. And then all of a sudden it was over.
Yeah.
I was like, wait. What? Because it turns out that book has half a section where he's in the persona still, but he's not caps locking everything.
It's just the non-caps version. Like, there's two versions of the book. There's the version where everything's in all caps because that's the Film Crit Hulk style. Then there's the version that's normal.
Where it's just like if you like don't want to deal with the character, you just read it. And I was like, oh man, what am I supposed to do now?
So you said that you felt you learned a lot from that book. And that it really was like, I think you said it was like the best textbook you'd ever read, kind of thing.
Yeah, because like a lot of textbooks, it would be like, okay, this is how you write. This is the formulas. This is how you would sell it to Hollywood or anything like that. But a majority of the book is just him telling you how to
think about your work.
Just like make a story.
Yeah.
Like it's not until like the very end where he's like, yeah, so you pitch it to a guy and then he says yes or no.
Yeah.
And, he was writing about making art for art's sake, and then money comes because of that.
Right. Do you know who the screenwriter Max Landis is?
Nope.
I might have asked you this already.
I think you did, and I think
He wrote Chronicle and American Ultra, and he's currently writing a Superman story called, like a comic book, called, American Gods, I think. No. That's the name of a different comic. I don't remember. Maybe that is.
Oh no.
But he's a screenwriter, and he'll give like every once in a while he'll write like videos about like screenwriting tips and shit like that. He had one that I thought was interesting, where he was saying how like you should write your like sound effects and shit into your screenplay, and just make it like really pop and be funny, and like when people read it, it's just as entertaining as like if you were watching it.
Yeah, Film Crit was saying that a good screenplay should read just like a novel, but with a lot of funny moments in between that kind of remind you that it's a screenplay.
Yeah, he was like, you know, he'll describe things like when he'll describe the characters that emerge into a scene, he might do it in like a really like goofy way, and like these just really
something
funny,
memorable.
Weird stuff that like wouldn't be in the movie anyways, but it would definitely be in the script.
It's something there to make the guy reading it for the first time chuckle and then pass it up, because he said he can't tell you. He said specifically, like, he can't tell us how many times he has read a thing and just been so bored that he throws it away. And then one will come up and will say some dumb joke and he'll just laugh. And then because of that alone, he'll pass it up.
Yeah.
You should do this.
I got concentrated for a second here.
I could tell.
Yeah,
dying.
it was also interesting because Max Landis was talking about how like basically once his scripts are handed off, he doesn't really see it as his work anymore because so much can be changed by the time it's a movie.
Right.
You know, and as he was talking about this on he was a guest on a Red
Unless
Letter
you make
Media
it, if you don't make it yourself, your script is going to change
Yeah.
if you write something.
Which is why Tarantino doesn't write scripts anymore for other people's movies, because he was pissed off with with all the changes made to Natural Born Killers.
Yeah,
He
like,
was
he
like,
disowned
no.
that.
Yeah, he was like, I'm not doing this again.
That's why when I write stuff, I try to write it for someone like Victor, just because, well, Victor's like the main person I know in the area that wants to make movies as well.
Right.
I've met the other guys, but I don't know them well enough to like send them stuff I write. So I always sort of write it with the idea that Victor is going to make it, and then I would help sort of work along with them and get the creative idea going.
Yeah.
But if I just sent it off to Hollywood, they'd be like, all right, here's, some money, and then I see it come into theaters and it's completely different.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting because Max didn't even seem to really mind that. He's like, I've done my job. My job is I write a good script and they buy it from me. And then once it's in someone else's hands, it's not really my thing anymore. But
That's
yeah.
why, that's the other thing he brought up. He was like, well, if you're concerned about like the creativity and just getting your specific story told, usually you would write it as a book first, convert it into a screenplay. They can make the movie however they want, but you always have your book form to fall back on.
Right. Shit, how the fuck did I miss that?
So, you kids, just be prepared if you want to be an artist. A lot of your life's probably going to suck until you make it.
Well,
Depending on what kind of art you want to do.
depends on how fast you make it.
And how fast you do it.
And what you consider to be making it. If you consider me to have made it, I made it... Well, it's not fair to say I made it quickly. It's just that I didn't have a long grace period of not doing anything, because I was writing in high school, so I was pretty well prepared by the time I was 20-something. And I did just kind of bum around for like a whole year.
I remember that year. It was a great year.
Yeah. There was lots of bumming. And being around.
Just kind of being there.
Yeah. That was that mythical year after college and before work. I don't remember much of it. I just remember that I watched My Little Pony.
How long were you in college for?
Close to 2 years, but like different majors every time. Like almost every semester. Like amazingly. God, fuck this pistol. This thing is fucking worthless. It doesn't do any damage.
Run away! Run away! Run away! Run!
Christ. Why won't you fucking die?
Run away so I can respawn.
Hold on. There we go. What was that? Anything's better than this fucking pistol. Oh, this is a turret. Okay.
Turrets are generally better than pistols, just in sheer firepower alone.
Yeah. Next time on Digi Bro and Pals.
We'll continue.
Yes.